The period between 1979 and 1991 marked a renewed phase of tension in the Cold War, often referred to as the Second Cold War, as the superpowers moved away from the détente of the 1970s. The Soviet invasion of Afghanistan in 1979 shattered the fragile trust that had been built during earlier negotiations, reigniting hostilities between the United States and the Soviet Union. This escalation of tension saw the world's two superpowers once again locked in a fierce ideological and military competition. In the United States, the election of Ronald Reagan in 1980 signaled a stark departure from the policies of détente. Reagan viewed the Soviet Union not as a partner for negotiation, but as the evil empire, bent on global domination. Determined to outpace the USSR militarily, Reagan embarked on a massive buildup of American defenses. The U.S. military budget soared, with increased spending on nuclear weapons, conventional forces and technological advancements. This included the deployment of Pershing II and cruise missiles in Europe, a move designed to counter Soviet influence and keep the balance of power in the West's favor. A key element of Reagan's strategy was the Strategic Defense Initiative, SDI, announced in 1983. SDI, often dubbed Star Wars, aimed to develop a missile defense system that could intercept and destroy Soviet intercontinental ballistic missiles, ICBMs, in space before they reached their targets. While critics argued that the technology was far-fetched and unfeasible, SDI unnerved Soviet leaders who feared it would give the US a decisive advantage in any future conflict. Reagan's insistence on developing SDI placed immense pressure on the already struggling Soviet economy, which was unable to keep pace with the American arms race. Reagan's hardline stance began to soften after 1985, when Mikhail Gorbachev became the leader of the Soviet Union. Gorbachev, recognizing that the USSR was in a deepening crisis, sought to ease tensions and reform his country's crumbling economy. The Soviet Union was buckling under the strain of maintaining its vast military apparatus while dealing with a stagnant economy and widespread domestic issues. Gorbachev introduced reforms like perestroika, economic restructuring, and glasnost, political openness. But he knew that reducing Cold War hostilities was crucial to the survival of the Soviet state. Reagan, sensing a genuine shift in Soviet attitudes, embraced the opportunity for diplomacy. A series of summits between the two leaders led to landmark agreements, including the Intermediate Range Nuclear Forces (INF) Treaty in 1987, which eliminated an entire class of nuclear missiles. This marked the first time the superpowers agreed to reduce their nuclear arsenals, signaling a thaw in Cold War tensions. While Reagan's change in attitude helped pave the way for de-escalation, the internal crisis in the USSR deepened. The costs of competing with the US, especially in military spending, were overwhelming. Gorbachev's reforms failed to prevent economic decline, and the Soviet Union's grip on its satellite states weakened, leading to political unrest across Eastern Europe. By 1989, communist regimes began to collapse, most notably with the fall of the Berlin Wall. The Cold War came to a definitive end with the dissolution of the Soviet Union in 1991. The Second Cold War, marked by renewed confrontation and then a surprising thaw, had played a crucial role in exposing the limits of Soviet power. What began as a superpower struggle ended in the collapse of the USSR, reshaping the global order and leaving the United States as the world's sole superpower.